Hello, friends. Today we have myself and my beautiful co-host here, Sean, and we are going to be going over Swamp Thing 1 and 2 for the original run. General thoughts, I'm definitely going to say that I'm really enjoying this so far. I know we're only like 2 real issues in, 3 if you want to count House of Secrets, but I don't know. How do you feel about the books? I'm really loving them.
I'm not much of a horror fan, but this is definitely turning me around on that opinion overall. Also, I think it's this week that House of Secrets 92 had the facsimile edition come out. So if anybody's interested in that, they can track that down at their local shop.
Yeah, you can get a regular cover, a foil cover, or a Beetlejuice cover. We should have showed that off. That was a fool. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, we can do it next time. It's not like we're just jumping from Beetlejuice and never talking about Swamp Thing again. I mean,
yeah. I got the Beetlejuice cover, obviously. So.
Did I get the Beetlejuice cover?
Didn't you order that? I'm pretty sure I put that aside for you.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. Yeah.
All right. I would also say that this borders more on like sad and love stories so far over horror. Like that definitely just shifts a bit with the second issue.
It's like a Beauty and the Beast style. Hey, Ryan. Like that tortured soul kind of horror.
Very.
Which I think there's a lot of overlap with that going on in horror, but it's very interesting to see. It's not like an outright scare fest.
Yeah, it's almost harrowing more than anything, I think.
Harrowing. That's a word. That's a heavy word.
Thank you. Not to brag, but I know a few words.
Right. Even know a couple syllables too, yeah.
Yeah, right? My vernacular, it's quite robust.
Whoa. I didn't know it was that kind of
sorry. I'm going too intense. All right, I'm going to pull up our cute little slideshow, and these are the 2 issues that we're talking about today. These covers are also amazing. I think the first one is iconic for a reason. I just really like that he's just erupting from the swamp. Like, these are great. I think they also do a very good job of something that is almost a little more rare in this time of comics, where you actually kind of get the story on the cover.
Yeah. I think that's kind of lost now because there is so many covers with almost every issue that comes out that the story gets obscured a lot. Out of these 2, I especially like the cover to issue 2, just because it seems more ridiculous. Like Swamp Thing and a couple of like oddball unmen are just like hanging out on a plank.
Yeah. So going back a little bit, well, actually, it's in the first issue, but there's like there's a few henchmen or whatever, right? And there's the one guy who like reports back, and he's like, "Yeah, these losers, we'll get their formula, and if not, we'll end everything or whatever." He has some weird little goblin thing. Do we know what's up with that?
I don't think we do.
Okay, because I kept going back, and I'm like, that's not arcane. I was so lost for a minute.
Unless that's really like leading into it, which I don't think it is. But that's also true. Like we could just be speculating and eating our words in like another week or 2 when we read another issue.
Yeah, it's really fun because like at exactly this point, I'm in the dark going forward. Like I kind of knew the first issue because like everyone like kind of knows Swamp Thing's origin, but like after this point, I don't really know what we're in for the next like 200 books. Like I have no idea.
Yeah, there's certain checkboxes for things that you know are going to happen, like Constantine showing up,
sure, but even
like that kind of stuff. But it's just like I'm just in for the ride. I don't need to know everything before I go into it. That's why I'm reading it.
And like even going to that, like I know that Justice League Dark's gonna be created. I don't know why. I don't know what they do. But like sure, yeah, I know we'll see Demon or whatever, but
yeah,
I don't actually know what's gonna happen.
I love Demon as a Jack Kirby creation. It's like it.
That's actually Ryan's favorite. He loves Demon.
Say no more, Ryan.
Yeah, hopefully he can talk about his great love for Etrigan.
Ryan. By the way, Ryan, I finished reading Crashdown yesterday. I read the whole thing at once since I was waiting on 3 forever.
Yeah, this is true. Ryan knows that I'm a little cuckoo bananas, so like whenever I'm reading a book and it's like, go check out this run for more, I immediately go and I read everything that I'm talking about. So, and he's just like, huh, neat, like a normal person. But yeah, he's read more Swampy than me. But so, did you like Crashdown as someone who doesn't like horror?
Yeah, I think there could have been a Swampy on that world.
Oh, okay. Right.
And the ending was frenetic and explosive without having like too many actual explosions, but it had.
Don't spoil anything for people who haven't finished it.
Yeah, it was no spoilers. It's just like there's a big build up there, and because it's a last issue, what are you gonna do? But it was something that made sense through the whole story. It gave a weight to everything that happened beforehand, so it was a very cool investment of time in that sense.
Just came from the X-Men 1 vid. Curious, need to finish that, but curious with the grade and how much they're at the wallet. It was graded a 1.5 from CGC, but I am going to clean and press it, so fingers crossed. I'd really like to get a 2.5. I'm not really sold based on the chip on that top back corner, but I think I could at least hit it too. And it was I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but it was around $4,000. I'm not trying to gatekeep. I don't have the number on me right now, but it was around $4,000. But books be expensive, man.
That's true.
I just wish he doesn't make this a Crashdown show. Yeah, we could interview Ryan for a Crashdown show.
Okay.
I've been trying to get him to do one with me. He's been going to other people's shows, but he won't do a show with me.
Wow. Is that just like a conflict of interest kind of thing, or what?
He probably doesn't like me. I don't think we're off. I
see that. I wanted to say something, but
I'm only visiting him next week, yeah. My first experience with Etrigan was, again, Batman animated series. Yeah, okay, yeah. It's almost like my first DC hero experience, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good first experience though, Jake, because like a lot of Jack Kirby's creations either ended up in cartoons or they started off like the Herculoids. Like that was all Jack Kirby, and it was only the animated series, so it was just weird offbeat kind of stuff. And once you realize that's Jack Kirby, it's like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Wasn't Etrigan in the Superman animated series as well?
I think that's what Jake talking about as far as having he was specifically in the Batman one.
Okay. For some reason I thought Superman, but I don't think I got into that yet in my watch through.
Oh, but there's like the backstory with Bruce and Jason Blood.
Okay, because that's what I was saying. I was like, I can swear I see like the silver hair in my head right now. So
yeah, he's got a little bit of the rogue streak going.
Yeah. All right, so let's dive into some actual Swampy though, and then if we can get Ryan on, we'll do more Crashdown. Etrigan wasn't Superman. I'm a fool, guys. I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm not good at watching ththings. I'm trying to watch Loki for the first time. It's pretty good, but I'm bad at watching things. I really like how all of these open. I think that they feel very like, I feel like I'm in, I don't know, like Louisiana, like someplace that's very like stereotypical, but I really like it. You're no fool, Tessa. Thanks, Jake. Yeah, I also really like how, so no surprise here, Bernie Wrightson is an amazing artist. I specifically like how he does nature-y stuff, so I feel like this title is perfect, and also how he makes people look so crushed, like emotionally just wretched. So I think that's like part of what
it's really realistic in that sense, because you can see the dread of humanity in how he draws people.
Yes, and like it's not that he's bad at other things, obviously, but it's just that's the emotion that when he does it, I'm just like, oh my goodness, like my heart.
Yeah. And I can't remember who originally did it in the issues, but again, for the Absolute Edition, as I've been reading it, Jose Villarrubia was doing the recoloring, and he's not one of those people that just like washes out the pages and stuff, because like
that's what I've been going through on the digital versions, because Ryan was showing me the Absolutes, and while I would prefer just to read like the old issues, I'm cheap and I just didn't want to buy every issue of Swamp Thing just for the show.
He honors it. Jose does. It's like
we were comparing pages, and like genuinely just completely different colors would be used on different things, which is so fascinating. I would love to do like a side by side.
Yeah, please do that for like maybe next show or something. Like I'd love to see it.
Yeah, maybe once we wrap up this first volume, we can like compare some of the most like drastic page changes.
Like,
like epilogue, you know?
Yep. That'd be neat.
So this first issue does actually have a few different key significances. So technically, this is actually the first appearance of Swamp Thing as we know him. Before it was Alex Olson, this is Alec Holland. He's a different dude. The actual creature itself is different, but they don't kind of go over that till later. This is first appearance of Matt Cable, who extends further into the DC universe later. He's a really cool character. And it's also the first teeny tiny sliver of a cameo for Anton Arcane.
I had a little bit theory of the connection between Alec Holland and Alex Olson, because it kind of plays into, this is going to be a big stretch, but this is my kind of fan booking as far as Alex Olson, Jimmy Olsen, playing into like the family trees of the DCU, and all goes back together. So it's like, if Alec Holland, there's no reason to believe that he couldn't be related to Alex Olson from House of Secrets, but also we got an Olsen and an Olsen, so are Jimmy Olsen and Alec Holland cousins?
There are so many DC editors that go against having any last names be the same, and I think it's because of people like you. Two-Face's last name was originally Kent, and then they literally changed it. I think in this first issue it was actually Kent, and they changed it.
But weren't there also like multiple Two-Faces at first?
I don't know.
Because I know there's definitely like multiple Clay Faces, but I think there was also a couple of different Two-Faces. And not just like the Kent Dent kind of thing.
I know about like Dula Dent, but that's kind of all I got. I don't know enough.
Yeah.
But I do know the Clay Faces. I think Lady Clayface is actually really cool.
I don't know that one so well. I loved the Basil Carlo one. So he's the current one, right?
I think so, but I haven't seen.
Yeah, because I think that's the one. I think that's the one that was in Tynian's Rebirth run of Detective, when he was kind of like a good guy.
Yeah.
With like Robin and Spoiler, and that was just such a good team book. I love that.
Sacred Geek here is awesome. Can you imagine like Swamp Thing stuff being your first book?
Dude, that'd be so cool.
Right? Two-Face is actually Dr. Doom. I forgot. They actually just announced that. You're right. Thank you so much. Yeah. I'm just a girl. I don't really know this stuff. All right. So.
Pardon me, everybody. I'm a little congested.
Really, really rude of you. I'm trying to make my light not be so annoying right now. All right. So. This story is basically just, after like a year of trying to get Wein and Wrightson into making this an ongoing book, they finally kind of said like, okay, sure, we'll do it. And they basically just took the previous Swamp Thing and they changed it to make it easier to actually write an ongoing, because House of Secrets took place centuries ago, and this was making him modern day for, when was back then. So it'd be easier to actually just write books in the current timeline. And they just changed it a little bit. I honestly think, the biggest difference in these two Swamp Things at their core to me is that in one of them, their love interest is alive and they just can't go to them. And then the other one, their love interest is no longer around by the end of the issue. And I think part of making that decision for this book of killing off the love interest is that it would just be easier to write. He's not going to keep going back and being like, oh, Linda, we don't have to deal with that battling.
It kind of goes, like, speaking of editorial again, to what I think more modern editorial has been saying, as far as like there's been those decrees of like no marriages or trying to keep characters young, and I'm the kind of fan that likes to see Peter and Mary Jane married. Like, some growing is fine.
So are you enjoying Ultimate Spider-Man then?
I haven't been keeping up on it. I did like what I read. It was a novel concept. I've been keeping up with Ultimate X-Men. Hold on. Jake Harvey was Two-Face in his first 3 appearances, but then there were 3 Two-Faces briefly before Harvey became Two-Face again. Thank you, Jake. There's some deep bench trivia for you. The other Ultimate book I'm reading right now is Dennis Camp's Ultimates. That rocks.
Okay. I'm kind of reading all the Ultimate issues except for the Ultimates, but I will try that now, but I'm just behind all of them. Most of my DC knowledge comes from TV/movies, but recently started reading, and I messed up. X-Men was the first, not Swampy. Swamp Thing at 37. Well, we'll be getting there soon. We're doing like 2-ish issues at a time once a week, so.
Yeah.
So yeah, this story is just a new origin story for a slightly different Swamp Thing.
What I like about this telling where they were married, and they're a married couple working on science together. It reads to me as a science nerd like they're basically the Curies of the 70s, like. And sure enough, something bad happens to them. Marie got cancer from working with radioactive crap, and it died. But now it might be a little bit of radioactive crap. We don't know that for sure. Is this about Ben Grimm and the swamp? Yes, Bumpkins, it absolutely is.
Everyone should go follow Bumpkins. He's my favorite.
I just like the name.
He's a little country bumpkins.
Yeah, but I read it as like I like romance sometimes. I don't. Sometimes it's gross, but sometimes like, oh, it's cute. Like when you see old people sitting on a bench together feeding ducks. Like they're being sweet together, plus they're being sweet for feeding ducks. They're
probably feeding ducks bread though, and that's really bad for ducks.
Is it really? Is it the carbs?
It really is, yeah.
Does it go right to their legs?
That's why I keep birdseed in my car, fun fact, so I can feed them properly. But yeah, so they both are doctor scientists. It's Dr. Alec Holland, and they work together, but I kind of feel like they don't exactly treat her on the same level as him, in my opinion, but maybe that's...
No.
Right?
Absolutely not. Like, she's definitely more of a plot device than a fully fledged character.
Like, yeah, at first I was like, hell yeah, they're both doctor scientists, hell yeah, I love this, power couple. And then it was like, oh, we're gonna keep on going after the man, and we're just gonna try to, whatever, with the woman.
This dog doesn't have a name either.
Yes, I will get to that.
Okay.
But, so they're working on some bio-regenerative formula thing, and of course, that puts a target on their heads, because everyone wants regenerative stuff, right? Like, TLDR, that could eventually lead to like immortality or whatever, and so the government works. The government has them. I have a screwdriver, which is very sketchy. The government throws them in some kind of like swamp, to make sure that they can be protected and that no one's going to go after them. But of course, people find out anyway, and these goons try to intimidate them. And when they're like, "Get lost, losers," they actually bug this dog. So that when they let in this sweet little hound, which also, look at this dog. This is the most like 60s, 70s looking drawn dog I've ever seen. It is a very old style dog.
It's a mutt.
But of course she's like, please, let's keep the dog. And he's like, fine. And they literally bug the dog so that they are hearing.
I did not see the bugging coming.
Me neither.
Oh, it's a dog. Cool.
I was reading this issue with Ryan. We only read the first issue together, but I literally showed him the panel where she's holding the dog. I'm like, this is me. Like, please, look. We can't let him outside. Like, God, I can't get over how this dog is drawn. But yeah, the group does report back to someone bigger. I don't think that they've actually shown who it is, because it's definitely not Anton. Like, it's definitely not. And I don't know if they'll ever like go down that road or care about it.
Yeah, we just know it's some big guy.
Yeah, he like calls them and he's like, yeah, we'll make sure that we get the formula or no one gets the formula.
It might as well have been Dr. Claw from Inspector Gadget.
They said Mr. E, but it has no relation to the actual Mr. E in the DC universe. That was like noted everywhere. See, one to read. Interesting. Oh, this stuff. All right, cool. Yeah, that's one list thing. Yeah, so we've been talking about the Comics Code of Authority, and I did check out the 1971 change, the update to it. And basically, as long as the crime, my takeaway is that if the crime isn't instructional in any way, if it's not too detailed that anyone could learn from it or recreate it, even if it's in like a pseudoscience way, and as long as they're not sympathetic to the like killer, then it's fine. But that being said,
Interesting.
This is like the most visceral burning. They put a bomb in the lab, and so Alec, tries to reach for the bomb, but it explodes on him. And the way they describe everything, imagine pain, so intense it defies description, as countless unclassified chemicals seep deep into throbbing, fume-enveloped flesh. Imagine what such terrible suffering can do to the fragile mind, as it drives the stricken body forward, clawing desperately the cool night air in hopes of some small comfort. Like, that's a savage description.
Yeah, it is.
And so, he's on fire, and he's trying to get some kind of relief from the flames that are licking at his flesh, and so he leaps into the swamp. And we basically pan over to Linda, which I don't actually think we said her name. I think we're as bad as the writers. We pan over to Linda, mourning at some fresh grave. And, see? That page messed me up the first time I encountered it. This is like...
I agree there. It was a little bit odd to follow along with, but look at that shot right there.
Right.
Another thing I want to call out here is the lettering. It is tight, especially for the 70s. Like, we didn't get stuff this good back then on a regular basis. My God, Ryan, lady scientist. Okay. The only thing is, they weren't like credited that well in like any of the sources that I looked at. I think the letter is Gaspar Saladino. Like yes,
he did the first few issues before it changed to the person who's like very well known for it. His name is slipping my mind right now, but he is the one, because the next I only know this because the next letterer has a really great blog where he talks about all this stuff all the time, and he's obsessed with this person who unfortunately just died like not too long ago. But yeah, he made I believe the original dress too. I'm sorry?
Is that Ben Oda?
No, it's begins with a T.
Oh.
It's in our notes. Hold on, I'll find this. I'm really smart. You talk and distract people.
Okay, I'm gonna talk and distract people. So that iconic shot of his fully fledged face.
Todd Klein.
Todd Klein. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was like, he's so.
It is the cover of the Absolute Edition that I have in my hands right here. I love it. What's that?
Show it again.
Oh, okay.
It's so pretty.
Again, with the mossy feeling to the outside of this, I don't know. I just love it. But look at the shading on that. Like, that's some beautiful stuff.
Yeah, I love this whole, see, I also love, this is what I'm saying about, like, Wrightson and nature or whatever. I love that almost every time that we have some kind of, like, big, swampy reveal or he's coming out of somewhere, it focuses on how it's affecting nature around it and how he is part of it, but also disrupts it because he is part of neither world.
Yeah, there's also a good, like, contrast there from where he's in agony. He's transforming. It's like hulking out times 3. And I would be hyperbolic there, but hulking out is pretty painful, I would gather. But then the next page, which maybe like a minute removed, by the pacing of the story, it's just like he's chilling. I'm Swamp Thing now.
Yeah. And I want to point out something that you actually put in our notes, but just how the speech bubbles and everything were a little hard to follow at first because you didn't know what it meant. You didn't know if it was like thought or speaking.
Yeah.
Because you don't realize that he hasn't really figured out how to actually be able to speak, how to communicate in this form. And so it's mostly all thought bubbles. And then you can see in orange is him actually being vocal, and that's the only way he's getting anything out.
Yeah.
And then until the moment where he finds Linda and he unfortunately sees her and she's been killed. Matt Cable has brought her back to the lab that's been freshly cleaned, and she is to go back to work after mourning her husband. And I think it's literally like, all right, cool, on the way back from the funeral, we're just going to take you right to the lab. And she has her little dog, and the dog gets out. So Matt Cable's like, hey, you chill right here. I'll go get that pup for you. Don't you worry, sweet thing. And the dog is sinking and dying. The dog is drowning in the swamp. And so Swamp Thing goes, oh, I was going to go back to Linda, but I can't let her lose this dog too. So I'm going to go save the dog. And while he's saving the dog, he hears a big shot. So saving the dog could have stopped him from potentially maybe doing something to save his beloved. And then this is the first time that he really brings any words to his mouth. It's just in despair of thinking something might have happened to her and then finding her lifeless body.
Right.
And then after that again, he is trying to be able to speak, trying to do anything, and he's just kind of raging. And he's trying to say stop over and over again until he can finally bring it out, and he exacts vengeance and he kills all of the goons that had anything to do with her. And then while he is showcasing these extreme feats of strength and violence, you see creepy Anton looking through some kind of like magic mirror and being like, "That's the bot I want. This hunk of meat. That's what I want." He's swooning over this over this thing.
That's a good way to put it.
Thank you. It's the words, the syllables, you know?
Yeah. Throwing me into a coughing fit.
But yeah, did you have any more thoughts about the first issue? Because I think the next slide just takes us straight to issue 2.
I think we covered everything pretty well from what I had on my notes, at least. So, yeah.
Mythographic comic art is going on about what you're saying. That absolute book is just like reading the originals. Jose Villarubis worked hard to match the colors that appear in the original newsprint. Love that book. Yeah, that's the disparity. I'm reading digitally right now, and I do feel, as someone who is like very passionate about like reprinting books with colors, I feel like I'm missing out, honestly.
And Ryan, I did see your comment about this is your favorite Absolute edition. Given this is my inaugural visit, I can't really say that for sure, but I also have the Batman Year One, which has 2 different versions of the story. And yeah, I know you have it right there, Tessa, but my favorite was also my first Absolute edition ever. It was Crisis on Infinite Earths. It has a whole second volume of back material that doesn't exist anymore, and it like blew up in a fire. And this was told to me by Marv Wolfman, who signed my copy because I helped him out at a comic show like 15 years ago. Absolute nicest guy possible. So there's plenty of competition for number 2, but nothing is going to top that number 1 for me, even though during a movie years ago, I damaged the outer case of that.
I am going to showcase this real quick. So this one is really cool because it comes with 2 versions. You know, one version is reprinted normally, any normal book. This one is like actually on newsprint, and the covers are still all nice and glossy though. So it's just like reading giant versions of the originals, and I'm obsessed. It's literally perfect. I also have such great appreciation for David Mazzucchelli. He recolors every version for the trades. He personally does it. He's like, no, I'm not letting anything get mixed in translation. Like it's so fast.
If we're gonna show off, I might as well show off my Absolute edition for the Crisis.
Absolutely.
Marv is still the best as far as I'm concerned. See, this got damaged.
This one, if you're talking about Batman, it's 4. How many's in the Crisis?
All 12.
Rad.
So the slipcase is forever damaged, and I'll never replace it. I've tried before. This back material is its own volume.
Ooh.
And it's not a slouch either. It's got the scripts and everything, like back material and those breakdowns of George Perez, like, oh, beautiful stuff. Plus a little note from Dick Giordano on the back. And from 2006.
Oh.
So that is 18 years ago.
Wow, cool. Your book is legal now.
Yeah, I can buy cigarettes all on its own. Yeah, that's right, S'mores.
I was about to say hi, S'mores.
Hey, he got camera shy. He says hi though.
Hi, S'mores, I love you. The other one is okay. No! Sorry, I kicked you out of the show.
Oh, you did?
No, I did not.
Cool. All right, so should we talk about number 2?
Yeah, that was a fun little
That's a nice little sidebar.
intermission. That's what I'm looking for. My goodness. Oh, or maybe I'm confusing with the cool Swamp Thing showed earlier. Does it have the same fidelity of color? Hate the new bright recolorings. Yeah, Ryan was showing me that the colors are actually retouched really nicely in the Absolute. The digital versions I'm reading are garish and awful, and I kind of hate them. So sorry about these, because this is entirely just screenshots from the app. All right. Dun, 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 dun. And then I love how this one opens up, because I love that we actually have credits very prominently right here. It goes a Len Wein, Bernie Wrightson, George Orlando presentation. And it's also, I know this is not how it's supposed to be read at all, but it's very funny for me to have it being like, ugh, again, the Saga Swamp Thing. Like, it just won't stop.
Yeah.
But I love that he's holding it.
It's a whole saga.
Oh my God, this dude, he just won't stop. Yeah, I love that he has the dog with him. I thought the dog was not going to be around after the first issue. But I also love that, if you notice, because he said he doesn't have a name, all throughout the book, and even more so in this issue, I noticed it, just, he only calls the dog Little One. He never says, like, dog, my, and he was always like, come here, Little One. Like, it's just, I think it's so sweet.
That is a sweet kind of thing, because, like, anybody with a pet does not have one nickname for their pet.
Mm-hmm.
I have 2 cats. They probably have, like, 379 names. There's Plop. There's...
Like the comic?
Yes. That's specifically why I bought the comic, because I called spoons that.
They're really gross.
Whatever. There's Stinky, which is a common one.
Oh, I called it a Stinker, yeah.
There's Circus Bear. When Zorlak stands on his hind legs.
Okay, yeah.
Let's see what else. Chirpy.
Yes, that's accurate.
Yeah. S'mores is Chirpy. What other nicknames do you guys have for your pets? Why don't you share in there while we go through like issue 2, where Arcane and the Unmen are introduced, plus we get some actual details about Swamp Thing. So we get that Alec actually says it's hard to formulate the words in that body form when they did a body, because Anton and Alec do a body swap. Pretty much a deal with the devil kind of scenario. And as Anton is going about that, he does these studies for the Swamp Thing body. So he's 89 inches tall, 547 pounds. So that's 7.4 feet tall / 2.26 meters for our non-American friends, and 248 kilograms. Keeping in mind that it's also established in this issue that he does not have traditional human organs, and you're looking at plant matter here, that's very, very dense. So that's where you get like that super strength that you see in issue 1, where he's like punching through a car.
I'm trying to remember this guy's name. Sorry.
Which one?
Ophidian?
Ophidian, yeah. So that dude, like,
Commander, but I'm not smart enough to know anything about Cobra Commander.
The G.I. Joe movie, he starts turning into an actual cobra, and there's a part where he's just like slithering around, and he goes, "Once a man," and that just makes the whole movie right there.
Sorry, I just wanted you to live with that moment for a second.
Yeah, I just killed this whole show. All right, cool. Two episodes. Also, what kind of a boss name is Ophidian?
He's like a minor boss. He's just like
a mini boss. He's a mid-level boss, but that's still a boss name.
But yeah, you made a note about the use of crucifixion in comics or whatever, and you specifically mentioned something about X-Men, and that bottom left panel just reminds me so much of that Bronze Age X-Men cover, with like Wolverine on it.
Yeah, I was thinking of the Angel one.
Yeah, that makes sense. But like now
But-
I'm just, I don't know, looking at it here, I think it's with the colors and everything, it just really makes me think of it.
So in sharing our notes for the show, I wrote down, that this is that. Yeah. Sacred Geek knows what's up. That Snake Cobra Commander scared the crap out of me as a kid. Same. In our notes for the show, I put down like, okay, here's a crucifixion. We've got a few examples of that in comic books. I didn't even think of the multiple ones just in X-Men, but that's pretty interesting. The other one I was thinking of was...
I would have grabbed pictures of them, but here we are.
Yeah, I did put that in the notes, didn't I?
Yeah, you did, but I just didn't think to get pictures of it.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I thought of the Angel one in the X-Men, and I actually bought that in a collection that I was going through last weekend. So
thank you for that, by the way.
Yeah, that was a cool collection. It was like all 80s stuff, and I will automatically befriend anybody that comes into the store and says, I would like to bring you these 2 copies of the first appearance of Beta Ray Bill. It's like, we're going to get along just fine.
Yeah, for
and
those
sure
of
enough,
you who don't know, Sean is the other comic goblin for Cloud, and sometimes he helps me out when I have too many comic buys in one day. I go, Sean, can you do a buy on Saturday? My buy didn't show up at the same time that you were there, though, and I was excited because it was gonna be a first X23, and I was sitting there at Palmer waiting, and they no showed me.
You got X23,
but I didn't because they didn't come in.
Oh well,
Joshua Middleton.
One with Booster Gold and Miles Morales. One of my other guys here is Bill.
Oh wait, hold on, let me pick him up. Little guy.
Yeah,
that's cute.
I keep him right at my day job desk, which is really this desk right here. But 2 copies of that, 2 copies of G.I. Joe 21, the silent issue. So there's lots of good material in there, like 5 short boxes of primo stuff from the 80s, including that Angel being crucified cover of the Uncanny X-Men.
Just speaking of Simonson goodness, and since Bumpkins might still be in this chat, he got me this really cute little Throg statue that I have on my bookshelf.
You have an impressive Throg collection.
I love him so much.
He's all right. He's not Bill.
I haven't read the Simonson run. I need to. We can do that after.
I will reread the Simonson run anytime. I love it. It is one of my favorite runs of all time.
Oh, see, Sarah's coming in here with the numbers for us. X-Men 251. I'm not smart enough to know how to pop it up real quick. I could probably put on a slideshow for at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm about out in the middle, but...
You're living up to your name, Sacred Geek.
Sacred. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, this was sick as hell. I did not see him being driven on a... Driven? I don't think driven's the right word. Flown, duh. Flown in on a helicopter, though? Or
yeah.
Not a helicopter, a plane. But I didn't see that coming when they were like, oh, there's a plane. I thought it was going to be like the government coming in, trying to get the formula something. It was like, no, it's these little...
Yeah, he gets flown in below a plane, not even on a plane, and then he gets just wheeled up the hill the rest of the way.
But I'm thinking about how they're operating it. Like, do you think it's just a bunch of those little goblin dudes in there, like in the little cockpit, like just?
Like one of them at the wheel, and then another one at the levers and all that. Like, I'm seeing that now.
Right, and so it's like I did not see it coming because like I can't imagine these guys doing it.
And that's not right there. Like they don't actually establish where Arcane's base is, right?
It's in a big castle in a tower.
Yeah, but the way that looks right there, castle overlooking a giant hill or mountaintop or whatever, Castlevania vibes. Total Castlevania vibes.
Yes, absolutely.
I think I've only beaten one Castlevania game, and it was the first Game Boy Advance one. Like that.
I love playing games, but I never finish games.
Yeah, same. Like that's why I don't put money into them anymore.
I am balls deep in a Stardew Valley right now. I will not stop playing. I'm so excited for all the plane rides I have coming up because I have a solo TTRPG to play, and then I'm just gonna sit there and I'm gonna play Stardew Valley for like 5 hours.
Speaking of like flights coming up, I actually got new luggage.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, and I put stickers on it. Huh?
For your Rose City trip? That's really cute.
Yeah, for my Rose City trip specifically. I stickered it up. That way nobody can mistake my stuff for theirs.
See, I just I don't get anything, I just have them all as carry-ons. I'm going to go see Ryan, and I'm staying there for a week, and I'm just having my backpack, and we're just doing my laundry, and that's it.
I can't do that for a week. I can do that for like 2 days. Because usually if I'm staying for a place like 4 or so days, I'm also bringing in running gear, which is like a whole nother set of clothes. And I overpack because I need medications of different sorts, so...
Yeah, you have a pancreas that doesn't work. You have a good excuse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to highlight 2 of my favorite moments.
Yes.
So like Sean was saying, they kind of do a little Freaky Friday body swap. And obviously, you know, Anton is trying to come across like he's helping him out. He's a homie. He's a bro. He's here for Swamp Thing. But obviously, you know, the dude's Anton Arcane. Like, that's not a good guy name. So he's sitting there being like, don't you want this? Like, not really, because Swamp Thing can't really speak. So he's just talking to this silent giant piece of broccoli going, all you have to do is this. Like, this is all you want, right? And like, again, he can only be moved so far to actually speak. And so he turns around. And this is what I'm saying with the looks that Wrightson gives of just how desperate and pleading does this creature look. Like, all he wants is this. And
yeah, 1-2 flip.
He's telling him to just like, you can be a man again. And so he's saying, yes, I do care. That's like, I will. And that's all he can get out. I care. But he's moved to the point of that's all he wants. He wants to be human. And
it's almost like a cry in that one frame.
I wish I grabbed a screenshot of it, but there is a very sweet moment too of like, once he's human again, he's just like, my hands are normal. Like, I have a body. Like, just, hi, Kendall. And then this is my other favorite one. And this is so simple because I just really I like little moments. But this one, he calls him my sad-eyed friend. And just, I think that's how I think of Swamp Thing, and I haven't put into those exact words. But now I am forever just going to think of it as just my sad-eyed friend. And that's so true. Like, even going back to this last panel, like, he is just his sad-eyed friend. Like, obviously they're not actually friends, but it's just, all you can see is just all the horrible things that have happened that this creature has gone through, and it's just a little man with sad eyes. This is your moment.
Yeah, it is my moment because, okay, this is Alec in human form choking out one of the unmen, and a rather buff one at that, with his bathrobe. Like,
was hell.
Yeah, like, look at that anger. He was before he became the Swamp Thing at all, he was just a scientist.
But now I think he's just, I think it's like the emotions, right? Because he overheard Anton's, by the way, extremely cartoonish villain of just like, as soon as I'm in the other room, I'm gonna dialogue and have a big monologue about my whole plan. He's just like, that fool! Now I can have the power to destroy everything! And so he's just livid with everything that's happened to him and now himself.
That nylon cloth. It sounds comfortable.
And then this panel of them swapping back, I really, really like. This is basically, it's, you know, it's a little bit of like a Disney villain situation in my opinion, both the monologuing, and then it's like, as long as this one vase doesn't break, we can stay like this forever. And so obviously he goes and he breaks the one.
Wham.
Yeah. And so this display.
I love this lettering. Like, Quamp. That's a onomatopoeia there.
We will be watching the movie later, or at least I will be, and I'll try to pressure Sean into it, but...
What's this?
The Swamp Thing movie. I'm going to pressure you into it. And then so Anton has all these little goblins that do all of his doings. You know what I mean. And these little things have been carrying through every wish, and, you know, he is... But after he falls... He doesn't get pushed, he just falls, right? Yeah, he's backing away in fear. And he falls off a cliff, and all his little goblin things were originally attacking Swamp Thing, and all they've been doing is following Anton's word ever since he created them, and they go like, what the fuck should we do? I guess we should just keep following him, And they just jump off the cliff to follow him to their death.
Yeah, that was kind of cruel.
And then, of course, after Swamp Thing leaves the castle as himself, he doesn't see it, but in the corner, again, a little Disney-y, creeps out some weird, disgusting figure, and of course it's Anton, but Swamp Thing doesn't know that yet.
Right.
And then this is just going to be on my phone because I can't get this on the sheet, but this is the Crucifixion Wolverine issue that Sacred Geek was cool enough to give me the number for.
Yeah, thanks for that.
But that brings us to the conclusion of issue 1 and 2. Do you have any other thoughts on issue 2 here?
The only additional thought that I had that we didn't touch on is that, well, you thought this was a Disneyfication of just the reversion or the crushing of evil. I almost thought of it as a sitcom thing where everything's neatly packed back to the way it started off at the beginning of the episode, because we have Arcane back as and Swampy back as himself. But it was just amusing. It was just amusing in that sense. But everything else, it's just like we're only talking really 2 issues at this point, but it's consistently good. There's little to complain about as far as the plot and progression, aside from
also covered a lot. Like in 2 issues, like I wrote like a little synopsis, and I was like, I have to keep pulling myself back to not write more. Like,
yeah, they're packing a lot into it, but it's pretty tight too.
I was never bored, nor did I feel like I was slogging along at any point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I feel that a lot sometimes reading current comic books just to try things out. I'm not calling out anything specifically, but it's just like you're just reading stuff along. It's like, am I feeling this? And that's a genuine question that you get. Am I actually feeling this? You don't know when you're actually reading it. It's like a weird feeling. I did not feel that at all here. It's just like, this is tight. This is a well-oiled machine.
And like, I feel like older books, especially since in older books, especially like the prototypes we're reading, right? Where they have to like, here, you got 10 issues, tell your whole story. It's never going to get continued again. So usually those issues would get very wordy. Like you were doing an entire story in these. And I never felt like any of these were like too wordy in a way that I was like, I turn the page and there's like more I have to do. Like it was like, no, like, I mean, you can see right here, like this is just your average 2 pages. Maybe it gets a little more or less, obviously, but
yeah,
it was I kind of wanted to read more. Like this is a very fun read. I thought that doing like 2 at a time, I was like, all right, cool. Like sometimes they're going to be long or boring. And it's like, no, this is a really fun read.
Yeah, this is pretty, it'll be interesting to see if or how that holds through the other arcs or runs that we come across with this.
And this is like, I think this is my first like Wrightson book I'm really reading. I've really gotten to devour some work before, but never in such a sequential format, because like he's done art for like Frankenstein, where like here is 1 page and then here's like many pages of words and then here's an art. So like, yes, I have looked at his art and like really appreciate it before, but never in such, he's like perfect for comics, for like sequential, simple but impactful art that actually like tells a story. Like for pretty much this entire book, while the words are great and we have been specifically highlighting how volatile they can be or how emotional they can be, we could just have no words in this entire book and we would still know exactly what's happening.
Yeah, that's the power of it. And I think that's the power of the medium overall. It's like, if you're effectively telling the story, you need very few words to keep things going. It absolutely adds to it, but you're not lost if you're just following along.
And that's like why I think these guys are such a perfect pair for each other, because obviously, you know, the dialogue or whatever is going to make sense as dialogue, but a lot of the stuff has just been more poignant or more simple in like a sweet way. Like what I was saying, like just calling the dog Little One all the time, so you know that it's like a more affectionate thing, even if it's just describing dog. It's, here's a sweet thing that I have affection for, even if it's just because my loved one loved you, and therefore that's what I have left. Like
Little One, almost like my child in that sense.
Yeah. Like, oh, come here, you sweet little thing. Like, I got you. Like, it's protective almost.
Yeah.
And like, Anton is very sharp and honest almost, like in the way that he declares everything. Like he calls everything as he sees it. And obviously he's a manipulative little bitch, right? Like he's doing things to get his own way, but everything he's saying is true. Like he hones in and like, oh, I know exactly what this guy wants and what he needs to hear, but also all of it's true.
if you're thinking of it in like the movie sense, it's like Killmonger.
Yeah, Sacred Geek. We're going every Thursday at 7:30. Pretty much in general. If for some reason we won't be doing stuff, you should check us out on Instagram. We'll post any updates there. But we're going for every Thursday at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, probably won't be the first one in September. Why not? Because I'll actually be flying out that Thursday for Rose City.
Sure.
But in general, yeah. Oh, that means we can do a New York Comic Con episode.
Oh yeah. I mean, I usually go live when I'm at cons. I don't really stop doing that. But I will also be at Rose City, by the way.
Oh, now you tell me.
I'll just be there Saturday and maybe early Sunday. Ryan and I's friend Jennifer will be there, and so we want to be able to go say hi to her. So I'm flying down Saturday, saying hi, and then leaving Sunday. It's worth it for a friend. But yeah, we will be here, same bat time, same bat channel. Do you have anything else you want to say before we start closing up?
Swamps up.
Swamps up. If you want to follow Sean, I have him. Actually, I didn't write the description, I think, for this episode. But he is seantegrity on Instagram. Looking forward to you guys covering the Patchwork storyline. It's Bernie's first stab at the ideal Frankenstein monster. I used to have 2 of Bernie's favorite story missed. Amazing. Oh, it's my dad. Everyone say hi to my dad. Hi, Dad. Bob! All right. And he just missed my same bat time, same bat channel joke. Yeah, next issue. Yeah, fine. Next issue, we'll probably be going through, I assume, 3 and 4. And so if you also want to read along with us, we have a little Discord, and you can talk about stuff there. And other than that, I think we're gonna head out. So thank you guys for joining us. Swamps up.
Swamps up.
Oh my god, I can't hit end stream.